The knock came at 7:43 a.m. on a Tuesday, shattering the careful routine I'd built over 2 years of single life. I was halfway through my coffee, staring at my laptop screen without really seeing it, when 3 sharp raps echoed through my apartment. 2 detectives stood in my doorway. The woman was tall, with gray threading through her dark hair. Her partner was younger, holding a tablet like a shield. "Marcus Webb?" she asked, though her eyes already confirmed she knew exactly who I was. "That's me." My hand tightened on the doorframe. You don't get unexpected police visits for good reasons. "I'm Detective Sarah Chen. This is Detective Rodriguez. We need to talk to you about your ex-wife, Vanessa Webb." My stomach dropped. Even after 2 years, hearing her name felt like touching a fresh bruise. "She goes by Vanessa Morris now. Has for a while. May we come in?" I stepped aside, my mind racing. The last time I'd seen Vanessa was in divorce court, watching her sign papers with hands that had once worn my ring. She'd been caught red-handed, carrying on an affair for months while I worked 60-hour weeks thinking I was building our future. The betrayal had nearly destroyed me. Detective Chen settled onto my couch, her expression professionally neutral. "When was the last time you had contact with Ms. Morris?" "The day our divorce was finalized. August 14th, 2 years ago. I haven't spoken to her since." Rodriguez tapped his tablet. "No communication at all? No texts, emails, phone calls?" "Nothing." That was the agreement. Clean break. I sat across from them, my coffee forgotten. "What's this about? Is she in trouble?" The detectives exchanged a glance, one of those loaded looks that made my pulse quicken. Chen leaned forward. "Mr. Webb, did you know your ex-wife had a child?" The room tilted. "What? A daughter. Born 11 months ago at Mercy General Hospital." She slid a photo across my coffee table. A baby with dark curls and serious eyes stared up at me from the glossy paper. I couldn't breathe. The math was immediate, brutal. 11 months old meant Vanessa had gotten pregnant just weeks after our divorce was finalized, or maybe even before. "I don't understand. Why are you telling me this?" "Because," Chen said slowly, "your ex-wife listed you as the father on the birth certificate." "That's impossible." I shoved the photo back toward her. We were already divorced. We hadn't been together in months before that. "There's no way." "We know," Rodriguez cut in. "We had the hospital run a DNA test using the samples from your divorce proceedings. You're not the biological father." Relief and confusion crashed through me in equal measures. "Then why are you here?" Detective Chen's expression shifted, something darker moving behind her eyes. "Because your ex-wife is missing. Has been for 3 days. And the baby's real father?" She paused. "His name is Derek Hutchinson. Does that mean anything to you?" I shook my head. That name meant nothing. Derek Hutchinson is currently wanted in connection with a string of armed robberies across 3 states. 2 weeks ago, one of those robberies went wrong. A security guard was shot. He's in critical condition. Rodriguez pulled up a photo on his tablet. A man with cold eyes and an angular jaw. Hutchinson disappeared the same night as the shooting. "So did your ex-wife." My mouth went dry. "You think Vanessa's involved?" "We think she knows where he is," Chen said. "Bank records show she's been wiring him money for months. Always in small amounts, nothing that would flag automatic systems. But it adds up to over $40,000. $40,000, I whispered. That was more than Vanessa had earned in a year when we were married. Where would she get that kind of money? That's what we're trying to figure out. Chen stood, handing me her card. "The baby is currently with Child Protective Services. But here's what doesn't make sense, Mr. Webb. Your ex-wife put your name on that birth certificate for a reason, and 3 days before she disappeared, she sent an email to her lawyer. It contained a single line. 'If anything happens to me, Marcus needs to know the truth.' The detectives left me sitting in my living room, holding a business card and staring at the photo of a child who wasn't mine, but somehow had become my responsibility to understand. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and opened a search engine. When I typed in Derek Hutchinson armed robbery, my screen filled with news articles, but it was the 4th result that made my blood run cold. A photo from 6 years ago, Derek Hutchinson being led out of a courthouse in handcuffs, and standing in the background, barely visible but unmistakable, a younger Vanessa, watching him with an expression I'd never seen on her face before. She'd known him long, before she'd known me. Everything I thought I understood about my marriage suddenly felt like a lie. I couldn't stop staring at that photo. My hands trembled as I zoomed in, trying to convince myself I was wrong. that it was someone who just looked like Vanessa, but I'd memorized every feature of her face during 7 years of marriage. The slight asymmetry of her eyebrows, the way her left ear sat just a fraction higher than her right. It was her. I grabbed my laptop and dove deeper, searching through archived news articles about Hutchinson's previous arrest, 6 years ago. Aggravated assault and weapons charges. He'd served 3 years in Stateville Correctional Center, released 18 months ago on parole. 18 months. Right around the time I'd caught Vanessa cheating. My phone buzzed, a text from my younger sister, Maya. Coffee later? You've been ghosting me. I'd been dodging her calls since the divorce, unable to explain the hollowness that had taken up residence in my chest. Now wasn't the time to start. Instead, I called someone I'd hoped never to contact again. Marcus. Vanessa's mother, Patricia, sounded shocked when she answered. Is everything okay? When did Vanessa first meet Derek Hutchinson? Silence stretched across the line. Then quietly. The police have already been here. Patricia, please. I need to understand, a long exhale. They met in college. Vanessa was 19. Derek was 23. I never liked him. He had this intensity that felt dangerous. They dated for almost 2 years before he was arrested for putting someone in the hospital during a bar fight. Her voice cracked. I thought we were rid of him when he went to prison. Vanessa seemed to move on. She met you. I thought she'd chosen better. Did she stay in contact with him while we were married? I don't know. She shut me out these last few years. Patricia's words came faster now, desperate. Marcus, the police say she's in trouble. They won't tell me what happened to the baby. Please, if you know anything, I don't. I ended the call, guilt twisting my gut. My doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a woman in her 50s, gray hair pulled into a practical bun, holding a folder. Something about her posture screamed lawyer. Mr. Webb? I'm Margaret Sinclair, Vanessa Morris's attorney. She didn't wait for an invitation, stepping past me into the apartment. We need to talk about what she sent me. Detective Chen mentioned an email, not just an email. Sinclair opened her folder, pulling out a thick envelope. 3 days before Vanessa disappeared, she came to my office. She was terrified. She left this with instructions to give it to you if she went missing or died. My hands shook as I took the envelope. My name was written across it in Vanessa's distinctive handwriting, all sharp angles and hurried loops. I haven't read it, Sinclair said. Attorney-client privilege extends to you now as her designated recipient. But Mr. Webb, the police suspect Vanessa of being an accessory to armed robbery and attempted murder. Whatever's in there might incriminate her. You'll need to decide whether to turn it over. After she left, I sat for 20 minutes just holding the envelope. Finally, I tore it open. Inside was a letter, a USB drive, and a photo. The picture showed Vanessa and Derek Hutchinson sitting on a beach somewhere tropical, his arm around her waist, both of them smiling. She wore a thin gold chain I'd never seen before. The photo was dated from 4 years ago, right in the middle of our marriage. My hands crumpled the image as I unfolded her letter. Marcus, if you're reading this, then Derek found me. I'm sorry for everything, sorrier than you'll ever know. You deserved better than the lies I fed you, the life I made you live while I was waiting for someone else. I met Derek when I was young and stupid and thought dangerous meant exciting. When he went to prison, I convinced myself I could start over. I met you at that coffee shop and you were everything he wasn't. Kind, stable, present. I thought I could be happy with safe, but Derek got out. He contacted me 6 months after our wedding. Said he'd changed, that he needed help getting his life together. I told myself I was just helping an old friend. Then it became more. The affair you discovered wasn't with him. It was with someone I dated to try to get Derek out of my head. Pathetic, right? When our divorce went through, I went to Derek. He'd gotten involved with some people, dangerous people who planned robberies across state lines. He said it was just until he got enough money to disappear, to start clean somewhere new. He promised me a life together. No more hiding. I got pregnant. He was happy at first. Then the robbery went wrong. The guard wasn't supposed to be there. Derek panicked and shot him. Now there's blood on his hands and federal agents looking for him. The USB drive contains everything. Bank accounts, safe house addresses, names of the crew he worked with. Everything I know about what Derek's done. I thought I was helping the man I loved. I was helping a criminal. Derek has the money from all the robberies, close to $200,000. He wants me to run with him, leave the baby behind, start over in Mexico, but I can't. I can't abandon my daughter the way I abandoned our marriage, our vows, everything decent I once believed about myself. So I'm telling you this because you're the only person who might understand. You know what it's like to love someone completely and have them betray everything you thought you knew. If I disappear, Derek took me. He won't let me walk away knowing what I know. The baby, her name is Emma, she deserves better than either of us could give her. The birth certificate says you're her father because I needed someone good in her life if I'm gone. I know I have no right to ask, but please make sure she's safe. And please give the USB drive to Detective Chen. She's one of the good ones. I loved you once, Marcus. Maybe not the way you deserved, but it was real. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to choose the right path. Vanessa read it 3 times, each pass revealing new layers of betrayal and desperation. Then I picked up my phone and called Detective Chen. I have something you need to see. Detective Chen arrived with Rodriguez 40 minutes later. I'd made coffee I couldn't drink and paced grooves into my floor while waiting. The USB drive felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket. You look like hell, Chen observed, settling onto my couch for the 2nd time that day. I got a letter from Vanessa. I handed over the envelope, watching her eyes scan the pages while Rodriguez set up a laptop for the USB drive. Chen's expression darkened with every paragraph. When did you receive this? An hour ago. Her lawyer brought it. I explained about Margaret Sinclair, the instructions Vanessa had left. There's more. A USB drive with information about Hutchinson's criminal network. Rodriguez plugged in the drive. The screen filled with folders, bank statements, photographs, video files, documents labeled with names and dates. He whistled low. This is a prosecutor's wet dream. Or a death warrant, Chen muttered, still reading the letter. She looked up at me, something like pity crossing her face. I'm sorry, Mr. Webb, this can't be easy to process. Which part? That my entire marriage was a lie? That my ex-wife was in love with a violent criminal the whole time? Or that she put my name on another man's baby's birth certificate because she knew she might end up dead? The words came out bitter, acidic. Chen set down the letter. All of it. But right now we need to focus on finding Vanessa before Hutchinson does something we can't come back from. Rodriguez was clicking through files. These bank statements show transfers to accounts in 3 different countries: Mexico, Costa Rica, and the Cayman Islands. Hutchinson's been planning this for months. He opened a video file. The footage showed a dimly lit warehouse. Derek Hutchinson stood with 3 other men, all wearing masks, dividing stacks of cash on a metal table. Vanessa's voice came from behind the camera. Is this really necessary? Filming evidence? Insurance, baby. Hutchinson's voice was smooth, confident. Everyone keeps everyone honest. We all have copies. Something happens to one of us, this goes to the feds, and we all go down together. Mutually assured destruction, Rodriguez said. Classic crew tactic, Chen leaned forward. When was this filmed? I checked the file date. 5 months ago. Before the shooting. Chen stood, pulling out her phone. We need to bring in the task force. If Hutchinson thinks Vanessa might flip, she's in serious danger. There's something else. I'd been studying the bank statements while they talked. These transfers, they're not just Hutchinson's money. Look at the account names, Rodriguez zoomed in. The accounts were registered to shell companies, but one name appeared repeatedly as a signatory. Marcus Webb. My blood went cold. That's my name. Identity theft, Chen said immediately. He's been setting you up as a fall guy. For how long? My voice came out strangled. Rodriguez scrolled through documents. At least 2 years, since right after your divorce. He pulled up a loan application, a car title, credit card statements, all in my name, all connected to Hutchinson's network. Jesus, there's over $300,000 in fraudulent transactions here. I sank into a chair. He's been destroying my credit, my identity, while I've been trying to rebuild my life? Probably Vanessa's idea, Rodriguez said, not unkindly. Keep you implicated enough that if anything went south, attention would focus on you first. Give them time to run. She really did love him, I said hollowly. Enough to throw me to the wolves. Chen's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression shifting. We've got something. Traffic camera caught Vanessa's car 2 nights ago at a rest stop off I-55, heading south toward Missouri. Toward the money, Rodriguez said. Hutchinson must have safe houses along the escape route. There's more. Chen showed me her phone. A grainy security photo showed Vanessa at a gas station, looking over her shoulder. Her face was bruised, one eye swollen. This was taken 6 hours after the first sighting. "He's hurting her," I said, something fierce and unexpected rising in my chest. Despite everything, despite the lies and betrayal, seeing her injured triggered some old protective instinct. "Mr. Webb, we need you to come to the station," Chen said. "There are more files to go through, and you might recognize details we'd miss." Places she mentioned, habits, patterns. "What about the baby, Emma?" "Child Services has her in protective care. She's safe." I thought about that little girl with Vanessa's dark curls, born into a mess of violence and deception. If Vanessa doesn't make it, what happens to her? Foster care, eventually adoption, unless a family member steps forward. Chen's eyes held mine. "But right now, let's focus on making sure her mother comes home alive." At the station, they set me up in a conference room with coffee and access to all the files from Vanessa's USB drive. An FBI agent named Morrison joined us, apparently. The multi-state robberies had triggered federal jurisdiction. "We've been tracking Hutchinson's crew for 8 months, Morrison explained, spreading surveillance photos across the table. "They've hit 12 banks, 3 armored cars, and a jewelry store. Always clean, always planned, until the last job." "What went wrong?" I asked. "Hutchinson got greedy. The crew had agreed to walk away after this last score. 200 grand split 4 ways. But Derek wanted it all. We think he planned to eliminate his partners and run with Vanessa." Rodriguez pulled up another video file from the USB. This one showed Hutchinson and another man arguing in a parking lot. "When was this?" 3 weeks ago, Morrison said. "That's Tommy Breslin, one of the crew. He disappeared 2 days after this was filmed. His body turned up in a quarry outside St. Louis last week. Single gunshot to the head. The room went quiet." "You think Hutchinson killed his own partner?" I asked. "We're certain of it. Ballistics matched the gun used in the robbery shooting." Morrison's expression was grim. "Derek Hutchinson isn't just a thief anymore. He's a murderer who's eliminated one witness already. If he thinks Vanessa knows too much..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. I forced myself to look at more files, trying to find something useful. There were photos of safe houses, notes in Vanessa's handwriting detailing surveillance routes and police patrol patterns. She'd been deep in this, not an innocent bystander, but an active participant. Then I found something. Wait, I pulled up a document labeled Insurance Policy 2. Was a lease agreement for a storage unit in Springfield, Missouri. Vanessa's signature at the bottom dated 1 week ago. What if she made a backup plan? Chen leaned over my shoulder. "A place Hutchinson doesn't know about?" "She was scared enough to leave me evidence." "Maybe she was smart enough to leave herself an escape route." I zoomed in on the address. Unit 247, Southside Storage. Morrison was already on his phone, coordinating with Missouri State Police. 6 hours later, I was in the back of an unmarked FBI vehicle, racing down I-55 toward Springfield. Chen had argued against bringing me, but Morrison overruled her. I was the only person who might anticipate how Vanessa thought, what she'd consider important enough to hide. "This is highly irregular," Chen muttered from the passenger seat, though her tone held grudging acceptance. "Civilians don't accompany federal raids." "I'm not here for the raid," I said. "I'm here to understand what she left behind." The storage facility was a sprawling complex of orange metal buildings on the outskirts of Springfield, the kind of place people stashed belongings they couldn't quite throw away but didn't want in their lives anymore. Morrison had coordinated with the facility manager, who'd confirmed Vanessa had rented Unit 247 8 days ago, paid 6 months in advance with cash. A SWAT team had already swept the unit by the time we arrived. "Clear," the team leader reported. "No persons inside, no explosives, no weapons, just boxes and a safe." We entered through the rolling metal door. The unit was 10 by 15 feet, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Cardboard boxes lined one wall, neatly labeled in Vanessa's handwriting. Baby clothes, documents, personal. In the corner sat a fireproof safe, the kind you'd keep important papers in. "Get that safe open," Morrison ordered. A tech knelt beside it with an electronic lockpick. I moved to the boxes while we waited, pulling open the one labeled Documents. Inside were folders organized with the same meticulous care Vanessa had once used for our household bills. Except these contained evidence of crimes, photographs of Hutchinson and his crew, copies of bank statements, handwritten notes detailing robbery plans. She was building a case against him. Chen said, reading over my shoulder. This is prosecution-ready evidence. She was protecting herself, I corrected. Hutchinson controlled her with fear and promises. This was her insurance if he turned on her. The box labeled personal held more painful artifacts. Our wedding photos bent and faded. A journal with entries that made my stomach turn. Marcus asked about the necklace today. I told him it was from my mother. I'm such a liar. Derek gave it to me. I can't seem to take it off. Safe's open, the tech announced. Inside was a portable hard drive, a burner phone, and a letter addressed simply, "To whoever finds this." Morrison pulled on gloves and carefully extracted the letter. He read it aloud. "If you found this, I'm either dead or close to it. Derek has become someone I don't recognize anymore, someone capable of terrible things. I thought I could save him, change him, make him into the man I wanted him to be. I was wrong. The hard drive contains videos Derek doesn't know I copied. Him planning Tommy's murder. Him talking about eliminating the rest of the crew. Him explaining how he'll fake our deaths in Mexico and start over with new identities. He's not running away with me. He's running away from everything, including the mother of his child. I need to come forward, but I'm terrified. Not for me, I deserve whatever's coming. But Emma needs protection. Derek can't ever know she exists. If he does, he'll use her to control me forever or worse. There's a phone number in this safe. It belongs to Derek's sister, Linda Hutchinson. She lives in Denver and doesn't know anything about what he's done. She's a good person, a teacher, married, stable. If Emma needs a home and I can't provide one, please contact Linda. Tell her about her niece. She'll do the right thing. I also need whoever finds this to know. Marcus Webb is innocent. Derek stole his identity to create a false trail. Marcus was a good husband and I was a terrible wife. He deserves to have his life back. The conference room felt different when Morrison finished reading. Chen's expression had softened. Even Rodriguez looked uncomfortable, like he'd witnessed something too intimate. There's more. The tech held up the hard drive. Encrypted, but I can crack it. Do it. Morrison turned to me. Mr. Webb, this storage unit. Did your ex-wife ever mention places she felt safe? Somewhere she might run if she were truly desperate? I thought back through our marriage, sorting through memories I'd tried to bury. Her grandmother had a cabin in the Ozarks, near Table Rock Lake. Vanessa used to go there as a kid, said it was the only place she ever felt peaceful. Address? I don't remember exactly. Somewhere near Kimberling City. I pulled out my phone, searching through old photos I'd never deleted. There, a picture from our second anniversary. Vanessa standing on a wooden dock, lake stretching behind her. Cabin visible on the shore. I zoomed in on the cabin's address numbers. 1847. Chen was already calling it in to the local sheriff's department. The tech had the hard drive open now, projecting video files onto a laptop screen. The first showed Derek Hutchinson in what looked like a motel room, talking to someone off camera. Tommy's getting cold feet. Wants to back out, maybe talk to the feds. Derek's voice was casual, like he was discussing the weather. Can't have that. I'll handle it tomorrow night. The next video was worse. Hutchinson and another crew member, the one Morrison identified as Ray Garcia, planning the robbery that went wrong. Guard's schedule changes next week, Garcia was saying. Security companies rotating personnel. So we move up the timeline, Derek responded. Go tomorrow. If the guard's there, we handle it. Nobody gets in the way of retirement money. You said no violence. I said we'd avoid it if possible. But Ray? Sometimes you gotta do ugly things for beautiful results. Morrison's jaw was tight. This puts Hutchinson at the scene, planning the robbery, establishing intent. Combined with Vanessa's testimony, this is an airtight case. If we can find her alive, Chen added quietly. My phone buzzed, a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Margaret Sinclair. Turn on the news. Channel 7. I pulled up the live stream on my phone. A news anchor stood outside a building I recognized, Vanessa's apartment complex. Developing story tonight as police investigate what neighbors describe as a violent altercation. Witnesses report seeing a man matching the description of wanted fugitive Derek Hutchinson entering the building approximately 2 hours ago. Shots were fired and a woman matching the description of Vanessa Morris was seen being forced into a vehicle. Son of a bitch. Morrison was already moving. He went back for her. The apartment's compromised. Rodriguez pulled up security footage from Vanessa's building. There, Derek Hutchinson dragging Vanessa toward a black SUV, her face bloody, her body limp. Is she alive? I heard myself ask. She's moving, Chen said, pointing at the screen. Look, she's fighting him. She's alive. Vehicles heading south on Route 65, an agent called from across the room. Highway patrols setting up checkpoints. He's running for the cabin, I said with sudden certainty. It's the only place remote enough to hide, close enough to reach before the net closes. How do you know? Morrison demanded. Because that's where she'd go, and if she mentioned it to him even once, he'd remember. It's what he does. Collects information about people he cares about, stores it away for when he needs leverage. Morrison made a decision. Get a tactical team mobilized. We're going to the Ozarks. I'm coming with you, I said. Absolutely not. She left me her secrets for a reason. She trusted me to make sure Emma was safe, to clear my name, to tell her story. I met his eyes. I need to see this through. Morrison studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Stay behind the perimeter. The second things go tactical. You follow Chen's orders without question. Understood? Understood. The drive to Table Rock Lake took 3 hours, racing through darkness with a convoy of law enforcement vehicles. I sat in the back of Chen's SUV, watching trees blur past, thinking about the cabin and the woman I'd once loved and the stranger she'd become. My phone buzzed. An email from Margaret Sinclair with the subject line, Linda Hutchinson, Mr. Webb. I took the liberty of contacting Derek's sister per Vanessa's wishes. Linda was shocked to learn about Emma. She's already arranged leave from her teaching position and has contacted a family law attorney about custody options. She asked me to tell you that she's horrified by her brother's actions and wants to do right by his daughter. She seems genuine. Emma's a piece of good news in an avalanche of tragedy. We're 10 minutes out, Rodriguez said from the driver's seat. Tactical team's already positioning. The cabin appeared through the trees, a weathered A-frame structure perched above the lake, accessible only by a winding gravel road. Lights blazed in every window. Derek's black SUV sat in the driveway, one door hanging open. Morrison's voice crackled through the radio. Perimeters established. Thermal imaging shows 2 bodies inside, one moving, one stationary, attempting contact. A loudspeaker boomed across the water. Derek Hutchinson, this is the FBI. The cabin is surrounded. Release Vanessa Morris and come out with your hands visible. Silence. Then a gunshot shattered a second-floor window. Shots fired, someone shouted. The tactical team shifted position. Weapons trained on the cabin. My phone rang. An unknown number. I answered, Marcus. Vanessa's voice was barely a whisper, thick with pain. He knows you're out there. He's been watching the news, following the investigation. He knows I gave you the USB drive. Vanessa, where are you in the cabin? Second-floor bedroom. He's downstairs, watching the doors. I'm shot, left shoulder. There's so much blood. Help is right outside. Just hold on. No, her voice sharpened. Marcus, listen. He's gonna kill me no matter what happens. But he has the robbery money here, all of it. 200,000 in a duffel bag in the bedroom closet. And he has something else. A suicide vest. My blood froze. Jesus Christ. He says if he can't have the life he planned, nobody gets anything. He'll blow up the cabin with me inside, destroy the money, go out in a blaze. She coughed, a wet, painful sound. But I have an idea. The cabin has a back door leading to the deck. It's not visible from the main approach. If the tactical team can create a distraction, you can't run. You're shot. I can crawl. Grim determination filled her voice. Marcus, I destroyed your life. Let me do one good thing. Get that money to Emma. She deserves better than we gave her. Vanessa, tell Emma about me someday. Tell her I wasn't always this person. Tell her I loved someone good once and he tried to make me better. She was crying now. I'm sorry. For everything. You deserve so much more. The line went dead. I found Morrison. She says Hutchinson has a suicide vest. He's planning to blow the cabin. Morrison's face went pale. Bomb squad's 20 minutes away. We don't have 20 minutes. But there's a back door. If you create a distraction, she thinks she can make it out. She's injured. She won't make it. She's going to try anyway. I pulled up the cabin's layout on my phone, a floor plan I'd saved years ago when Vanessa and I had discussed buying the place. The deck extends over the water. If she makes it outside, she can drop into the lake. Chen appeared beside us. That's a 15-foot drop onto rocks. The water's only deep enough at high tide. It's high tide now, I said, checking my watch. Or close enough, Morrison made the call. Team Alpha, position for frontal approach. Be loud, be visible, all lights and loudspeakers. Team Bravo, move to the lakeside. Prepare to extract a victim from the water. The distraction began. Lights flooded the cabin's front. The loudspeaker demanding surrender. Tactical team members deliberately exposing their positions. Inside, I could see Derek's silhouette moving past windows focused on the front assault. Behind the cabin, barely visible in the darkness, a door cracked open. Vanessa crawled onto the deck, leaving a trail of blood, her left arm hanging useless. She pulled herself to the railing. She's going to jump, Rodriguez breathed. Vanessa looked back once toward the cabin. Then she rolled over the railing and fell. The splash seemed impossibly loud. Team Bravo was already in the water, pulling her toward shore. She wasn't fighting, wasn't moving. Subject secured, a voice called over the radio. Inside the cabin, Derek must have heard something. He appeared in the second-floor window looking down at the lake, at the tactical team carrying Vanessa's limp body to safety. He knows she's gone, Chen said. He's going to... Derek raised his hands. Even from a distance, I could see the trigger device he held. His mouth moved, saying something we couldn't hear. Everyone back, Morrison shouted.
Fall back now.
The explosion turned night into day. The cabin's second floor erupted in flames and debris, windows shattering outward, the A-frame structure collapsing in on itself. Heat washed over us even from our position 200 yards away. Jesus, Rodriguez whispered. The money burned. Derek Hutchinson burned. Years of crime and planning and violence reduced to ash and smoke over Table Rock Lake. But Vanessa was alive. 3 months later, the hospital room smelled like antiseptic and cafeteria food. Vanessa lay in the bed, her left arm still in a sling, healing from the shoulder wound and the broken collarbone she'd sustained in the fall. She'd survived against the odds. The bullet had missed major arteries by millimeters, and the freezing lake water had slowed. Her blood loss enough for the tactical medics to stabilize her. She'd also been arrested the moment doctors cleared her for transfer. They're offering a deal. Her new lawyer explained during one of my visits. Full cooperation in exchange for reduced charges. 10 years, eligible for parole in 5. Vanessa had taken it. She'd testified against Derek's remaining crew members, provided evidence that led to 17 additional arrests, and helped the FBI recover assets from 3 offshore accounts Derek had hidden. My name was cleared. The identity theft charges were dropped, my credit restored, the fraudulent accounts closed. I was free of that burden at least. Today, I sat in Vanessa's hospital room for what would probably be the last time before her transfer to federal prison. She looked older, thinner, hollowed out by everything that had happened. Linda sent photos of Emma, she said, showing me her phone. The baby was bigger now, smiling at the camera, held by a woman with kind eyes and Derek's angular jaw. She's thriving. Linda says she's starting to walk. That's good. Linda offered to bring her for visits. Once I'm settled in prison. Vanessa's voice broke. I told her not to. Emma doesn't need to grow up visiting her mother in a federal penitentiary. Maybe when she's older. Maybe. She wiped her eyes. The lawyer set up a trust fund. The insurance money from Derek's death, some savings I had, even the reward money from the FBI for my cooperation. It's not much, but it'll help pay for Emma's education. We sat in silence for a while. 2 people who'd once promised each other forever and ended up here instead. I need to ask you something, Vanessa finally said. Why did you help? After everything I did, all the lies, destroying your credit, risking your freedom, why did you come to that cabin? I'd asked myself the same question 100 times. Because 10 years ago I stood in front of our friends and family and promised to honor you. And maybe I'm an idiot, but some part of me still believes in keeping promises even when the other person didn't. I did love you, she whispered. It wasn't enough and it wasn't right, but it was real. I know. And I did. Love wasn't always enough. Sometimes people loved you and still destroyed you. Sometimes they meant well and still left devastation in their wake. Will you do something for me? Vanessa asked. When Emma's older, if she ever asks about me, tell her the truth. Don't make me a villain, but don't lie about who I was. Tell her I made terrible choices, but I loved her enough to try to save her from them. I will. The guard knocked on the door. Visiting hours were over. I stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, Vanessa, I forgive you. Not for your sake, for mine. I'm tired of carrying anger around like a stone. She sobbed then. Really cried for the first time since I'd found her in that lake. "Thank you," she managed. "Thank you for being better than I deserved." I left her there, walked out of the hospital into sunshine, and felt something lift from my shoulders. The past 2 years had been about survival, about rebuilding after betrayal. The next chapter would be about something more. My phone buzzed. Maya finally responding to the long message I'd sent her about everything that had happened. Holy shit. "Coffee tomorrow? For real this time. You need to talk to someone and I'm ready to listen." I smiled, typing back, "Tomorrow. And Maya, thanks for not giving up on me." 6 months later, I got an email with photos attached. Linda Hutchinson had sent them. Emma's first birthday party, the little girl covered in cake laughing at something off camera. There was a note, "Marcus, Emma is thriving. She's happy, healthy, and loved." I think about Vanessa often, about the choices that led her to that cabin. I'm grateful every day that Emma will grow up knowing stability and safety. If you ever want to meet her, you'd be welcome. She may not be your biological daughter, but you played a role in saving her life. That makes you family. Linda, I printed the photo and put it on my refrigerator, next to pictures of Maya's kids, my parents, the new life I was building. Emma smiled out at me every morning, a reminder that sometimes the worst situations still produced moments of grace. I never saw Vanessa again. She served her sentence quietly, became a model prisoner, and was released after 7 years on good behavior. By then, Emma was 8 years old, thriving in Linda's care, with no memory of the chaos she'd been born into. Linda told me Vanessa moved to Oregon after her release, got a job at a bookstore, and attended therapy twice a week. She sent birthday cards to Emma every year, but respected Linda's boundaries about visitation. Some wounds were too deep for simple healing. As for me, I eventually started dating again, learned to trust carefully, to recognize red flags, to understand that loving someone didn't mean absorbing their chaos. The scars from my marriage to Vanessa faded but never disappeared. They became part of my story, proof that I'd survived something that tried to break me. On Emma's 10th birthday, I received a letter from Vanessa. Just one page, written in her familiar angular handwriting. "Marcus, I heard from Linda that Emma asked about me for the first time. She's old enough now to understand complex truths. Thank you for keeping your promise to tell her my story honestly. Linda says Emma thinks I was brave at the end, choosing to save her over myself. I don't know if that's true, but I'm grateful she can find something good in my story. I'm doing okay. I work, I pay rent, I go to therapy. I'm learning to forgive myself, though some days that seems impossible. I think about the woman I was when we met, the person I could have been if I'd made different choices. That version of me is gone, but maybe I can become someone better. I hope you found happiness. You deserved it all along." Vi folded the letter carefully and put it away. Some chapters of your life close quietly, without drama or resolution. Just the slow acceptance that what was done was done. That night, I took my girlfriend, Rachel, to dinner. She knew my history, had heard the story in pieces over the year we'd been dating. She knew about the betrayal, the FBI investigation, the dramatic rescue at Table Rock Lake. She'd listened without judgment, understanding that my past had shaped me but didn't define me. "You're thinking about Vanessa," Rachel said over dessert. "How did you know? You get this look, like you're somewhere else." She reached across the table, taking my hand. "It's okay to remember. She was part of your life." "She was," I agreed. "But she's not part of my future," Rachel smiled. "Good, because I'm kind of hoping I am." I squeezed her hand, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real hope, not the desperate kind that clings to broken things, but the solid kind built on honesty and trust. "You are," I said. "Definitely." Outside, the city lights reflected off wet pavement. Somewhere across the country, a woman I'd once loved was learning to live with her choices. Somewhere in Denver, a little girl was growing up safe and loved, protected from the chaos of her origin story. And here, in this moment, I was finally, genuinely happy. The past had come knocking 2 years after my divorce, bringing with it revelation and reckoning, pain and resolution. But the past didn't own me anymore. I was free. And that, finally, was enough.